Hi everybody, welcome to this first of our online art sessions being offered to you through a lovely little project from Yeovil Art Space and working with the Huddle in Yeovil. Thanks for signing up and joining us. I am joined today with the lovely artist Carolyn Lefley. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. She's got some great projects ahead, and Carolyn's work you're going to find in the little booklet that's available that you can collect from the Huddle in Yeovil, or indeed at Yeovil Art Space. Carolyn, I have had a little sneak preview at what you're going to do and help parents with their creativity today. Are you ready for this?
Yes, definitely.
Brilliant. So tell us a little bit about your parenting journey. So you've got little ones now, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so keeping up with the kind of professional art career alongside motherhood has been a challenge. But we moved to the West Country when I was pregnant with my first. So I kind of fell in love with being in a rural area from moving from the city, and kind of falling in love with nature and bringing my children along with that meant that a lot of the creativity has moved to the natural world. And it's taking photographs of the boys in nature and making things with natural things. So that's sort of been a natural evolution of how I'm being an artist.
Especially during the time we found ourselves in this past year with the lockdown.
Lots
It's
of walking.
yeah, you find just lots of walking, but you kind of need to keep that fresh, don't you? Like, doing the same walk. So I
Yes.
don't know about I've got a couple of boys, as you know, and I think I just can't help myself but bring in making and creating every time we go out and do something. So yeah, we sort of do things as a family in art, through art, all the time. Are you the same?
Oh yeah, everything's creative. I mean, they love, it's just not just sort of art, baking, in the garden, making mud pies. There's always something creative going on, building Lego.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, thank you for sharing some of your ideas with us, the audience today. So I'm sure you've got lots of lovely things there. So I'm going to let you demonstrate to us, and I'm going to be making notes at the same time. So over to you.
Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to show is how to make one of these lanterns. So the theme of my kind of makes is going to be light and shadow. And we're going to do some stuff with shadows afterwards. But now we're going to do stuff with making some night lights. Okay. So first of all, get my things ready. We're going to use, are we going to put me to full screen, or?
You are on full screen, yeah.
Oh, am I? Okay, it looks all gallery in my view. Okay, so first of all, the idea is to find an old jam jar, or this is a big mayonnaise jar, so it's quite a good size to use for a nightlight, and peel off the packaging label, and then get hold of some tissue paper and cut it up for your little one, especially if they're preschool age. It's good to sort of do a little bit of preparation before. I always find this, otherwise it gets very chaotic once we start doing anything creative. So I kind of pre-cut up these. If you haven't got any tissue paper, you could even use like cellophane from sweet wrappers. And I'm also going to show you how to do similar with natural materials. But if you have got some bits of tissue paper, this is a really good starting point. And I'm just going to use a sort of stick of glue, but you could also use PVA glue if you've got that at home, like kids craft glue. So all you do is you put some, I'll put my camera down. You put some glue on the glass, and then you take a bit of your tissue paper, and you can encourage the little one to think about like where they're placing it. So talking a little bit about like stained glass windows and mosaics, and trying to get like different colors so that it's not all the same color next to each other, and you get really interesting colors when they kind of overlap, which works quite well. And the idea is you're going to put a fake candle inside the lamp, and once you've got it all, can't really see that, once you've got it all covered with tissue paper, it will glow. You can use a real tea light, but it's just safer with little children if they're going to have it in their bedrooms to use a fake candle. You can also use, you can get these really nice battery powered fairy lights, which people use to kind of fill up old wine bottles and make lampshades with, but you could put little string lights in there as well. That would look quite nice. So you just keep, it's really simple activity, and even the kids can apply the glue themselves, especially if it's stick glue, and they can keep adding it up to make your stained glass window effect. And then once it's dry, I often like cover the whole thing in another layer of the stick glue, and then that, you have to be careful with tissue paper, it doesn't tear like that. Then it gives it a kind of a seal. Or you could also paint a bit of PVA glue, or even if you've got something like this Mod Podge, you can cover it, which gives it a kind of sealant. Another way you can do it is you can put natural material onto a jar. Put the lamp in, see if you can see that. Turn that off. You can see that's got the fake tea light inside, and it's got ferns from our evergreen tree and some leaves on there, and then that's covered with a white tissue paper. So to do that, I've got a glass jar here, and it's the same technique as the tissue paper. You put some glue on your glass jar, and with the natural materials, the first thing is when you're collecting things, as Natasha was saying, you can make it part of a fun activity, like having a walk and collect things. Just be careful when you're kind of foraging for things that the children are always supervised, because some leaves are toxic. Things like laurel leaves can be toxic, and a plant called Lord and Ladies, which looks a bit like wild garlic but is also harmful. So just to keep an eye on kids, especially they're putting things in their mouths. But these are some leaves I collected in the autumn, and I just pressed them in a book, and I found them recently, which was quite exciting. And so one thing you can do is collect things like buttercups from the garden, or kind of evergreen leaves, and flatten them first, which makes it easier to apply to your glass jar. And then you could even use a more watery glue like PVA to stick it to the glue. And then once you've stuck all your plant material on, you can then cover it in with a clear tissue paper. Sometimes the tissue paper can get weakened by the glue. And if you're really interested in this kind of activity, you can get something called wet strength tissue paper. But if you're careful, you can just use the normal tissue paper, or you could just use, just to have it like this, where it's just stuck on without tissue paper. I think that looks quite nice. And the whole reason why I'm showing night lights is because little kids often don't like the dark and they get scared of the dark. And so it's nice to have things in the bedroom which kind of give a little bit of an ambient light, especially when you're tucking them into bed to read a bedtime story. And another activity I wanted to show you, which I put in the handout, is again something really magical to do with light. And it's the light lantern activity, which has got a few pictures in the handout, in the booklet. And I just wanted to show you how simple it was. So I've just got a cereal bowl here, and then I've got a kid's cup, and I filled it with rocks. And I put that into the cereal bowl and fill it halfway or all the way up with water, just to about here, just so it doesn't come over. And then if you, in the water, if you put some things that you've collected from your garden or from the park that are on the floor or from a walk, just all different natural materials, you could put buttercups in, things like that. And then you can put that in your freezer and then leave it overnight. Or if it's still cold, by the time you see this video, temperatures are warming up, so you're probably not going to get an overnight frost. But if you do live somewhere where it's still getting below -degrees at night, you can leave it outside in your garden, which is what we did with my kids. And it's so magical coming out in the morning, because you've left these outside and to see that they've frozen. I mean, my boys love anything to do with ice. So this was really magical. And then to get it out, once it's completely frozen, you can run it underneath your hot water tap in the kitchen and carefully get that out and that out. And then you've got your temporary ice lantern. So it's best to try and time the taking out of the insert when it's dark, because it's a lovely activity to do before bed, to go outside and light that, put a real tea light in there in the garden. So those are my 3 activities to do with light. And if I put this back on, you can see that I'm kind of illuminated on one side and I've got a shadow on one side. And one thing I wanted to talk about next was shadows and making shadow puppets, because that's also a lovely thing to do at night time, especially if you link it to perhaps one of their favourite bedtime stories. So my youngest loves this story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And actually, when I was preparing for today, I couldn't find the book because he'd hidden it in his bed because he slept with it. He just loves it so much. So yes, I'd managed to find it though. So I'm going to be doing a few puppet activities to do with the Hungry Caterpillar. And just get these glass jars out of the way. So first of all, if you've got really tiny kids, you can play around with a torch and just making shadow puppet shapes with their hands. So you could do things like a bird or a rabbit. I haven't got the right setup here to show you with a torch on the wall. But the next stage you could do is make a little puppet, which you can project onto their bedroom wall using a wooden spoon or similar. You can use a lolly stick as a handle and cut out some card and help them stick it on. So here's one that my 3-year-old made. I cut out the butterfly shape and he really enjoyed sticking on these shapes. Now I tried to direct him and say a butterfly is symmetrical, but he would not listen. He had great fun. And of course you don't need the colour for a shadow, but it just makes it really engaging for kids to use bright colours. So that's why I did that. And you could also do things. So I'm going to show you how to make a caterpillar type one that goes with the story. So I'll move the camera down again, and we've got wooden spoon, and you just cut out circles with your scissors. And I've started just using the glue stick again to attach some together and kind of mimicking the kind of shape of the Hungry Caterpillar. Now you don't have to do caterpillars and butterflies. You could do anything. You could make really abstract monster shapes. Kids love making monsters. The idea here is to do something that like a 3- and 4-year-old, or maybe even a 2-year-old could do, kind of once you've set it up for them. They can, my 3-year-old loves using stick glue and he loves sticking. It's something that he feels confident with. So if you do a little bit of prep, and you could do something that's a bit more advanced later on, but this is a really good thing to start with. So I just take a bit more care like this. Then, and just so it doesn't fall apart for this video, I'm just going to stick a bit of sellotape on, because glue can sometimes take a bit of time to dry. Then we've got our, so there's your caterpillar shape. Got a wooden spoon. Just stick a little bit of sellotape back on. Sellotape, although it's not that aesthetically pleasing and it's plastic, is great though for doing fast stuff with impatient 3-year-olds, and also when you're doing a Zoom. So that's your puppet, and I'm going to try now, just with my mobile phone, just projecting that on the wall. Okay, let's see if it works. So you can see that you can have real fun. Like we, it's difficult because I've flipped my Zoom, so it's all opposite. You can see there. So this has been great to do with both my sons at bedtime. So we've made butterfly ones together with my sons, and we've taken them up and we've done the hand shapes, and spend so long doing this and kind of making darkness fun. which is a real win, because if you've got two little boys that don't want it to be dark, doing anything that kind of makes things fun is helpful. So then the butterfly one they've made is here. So you could take, what we've done with my husband is I've shone my torch and got the boys to do it. And then for the booklet, we took some pictures of my husband's phone. So for your booklet, you could do the same kind of thing. You could take pictures of your kids doing the puppet shows. So that could be good. And you could tell stories. Another way you can make puppets is actually, because I use natural materials for the lantern, you could also use natural materials to make some puppets as well. So this is a bit battered, this one, because it's been well played with, but this is a very hungry caterpillar made out of leaves. As I said, it's been played with a lot over the last week, because I made a sort of demo one for the photographs for the booklet, and there's also a butterfly somewhere. Here's a butterfly on a lolly stick, and again that's I'm surprised this has survived, because it's two very boisterous boys have been playing puppet shows all week with this. So I'm going to show you now how to make something like this, and then eventually I'm going to show you quickly how to make your own puppet theatre. So that's the last two things I'm going to show you. So I'm going to move the camera back down again. Let's get these things out of the way. Okay, so I just went to the garden, my garden this morning, and in my PJs, and I got these leaves, and I've got some lolly sticks, but you could use anything really to stick your puppets on. You could use a pencil, you could use another, use something from the kitchen. If you've got older children, you could use these kind of bamboo type sticks. But the lolly sticks are quite good for little children, and also they're quite good because they're flat, so you can stick things on quite easily. So again, if you want to make a butterfly, and the nice thing about using these evergreen leaves is that when you shine a light through them, you can start to see the kind of colours and things in the veins. So if I just, again, you could, if you wanted to, use glue, stick these on, and then weight a heavy book on top of them. Or if you've got a glue gun, you could use that. It's not great using glue guns with little children around, but you can get cool glue guns, so that could be another way of doing it. But I'm just using good old sellotape, and as I said, it's lasted a week of lots of play, so I think that's okay. And then I could make some antlers for the butterfly out of a little bit of this. Could cut, let's see, cut this and stick on this. So I'm going to just quickly show you the butterfly and begin to make the caterpillar, and then I shall show you. You could project these onto the wall like we did with the other ones. But what's really nice is making your own little puppet theatre. And I got the idea for the cereal box puppet theatre because my son's school were doing lots of stuff with cereal box theatres. And if you look online, you can see lots of different people that have done really amazing stuff with cereal packets. So there's your little butterfly puppet. And to make the caterpillar one, it's just the same thing. It's just finding some leaves, putting them in a pattern and sellotaping them up or gluing and sticking to your lollipop stick, whatever you're going to use. You could even use a stick that you find on one of your walks, which would make it really authentic. So the last thing I'm going to show you, I've completely lost track of how long I've been going, but okay, so what we've got here is a little makeshift shadow puppet theatre, And we've just got this camping torch that I'm using, which is quite good because it's grippy for kids to hold, but you could use a mobile phone torch, you could use a little table lamp or a torch that the kids have got. And it's just shining through. So I'm going to show you how to make this, but before I show you how to make the puppet theatre, I just wanted to show you what the actual puppets look like in it. So that's you, Mr. Caterpillar, having a chomp on the leaves. And there's the butterfly. And there's your butterfly. So I've done some really fun stuff with the boys, recording little videos because they love that as well, and making our own stories. So to make the puppet theatre, just put this light back on. I've just used this is my dream. This is my Blue Peter moment. I have used a cereal packet, which I've deconstructed. So I just use scissors to kind of cut across the top. And then I've cut out 2 rectangles, one a bit bigger here and one a bit smaller. So the back rectangle is just so you can let the light through. And this rectangle here is, I've stuck some tracing paper to this with Pritt stick glue. Now, if you haven't got tracing paper, you could use white tissue paper, or you could even just use a sheet of printer paper. It wouldn't work quite as well, but you'd still get some kind of shadow effect. The great thing about tracing paper is you can really see some of the colours through there. And then what I've done is I've, just so it looks prettier, I've folded it up inside out like this, okay? And then you would just glue the sides or use sellotape. Glue it together here, and I don't know what the flip is, and there, and then you've got your puppet theatre. So that's pretty simple. So you can either use glue or sellotape to attach that together. And then you can think about adding scenery to it. You don't have to add scenery, but it's another thing that you can tie in from your walks or from playing in the garden. You can add in, for example, just a branch from, this is from our garden. I wouldn't recommend you go to, for example, Nine Springs and start chopping up their greenery, but things that you find on the floor you could use, or things from your own garden, or maybe your grandparents' garden. I've got, in my one, I've got a skeleton leaf that we found in our garden, and that works really well. Because of the shapes, and just it kind of makes you look for things. If you went on a walk specifically to find things, you start looking for things that have got interesting outlines and silhouettes. And then to attach this to the screen, I've just used stick glue again. So just quickly show you that. So let's put the stick that on, and this here, might chop it down a bit, a bit more stick glue on this side, and like this. And then, just because the glue needs to dry just for this recording, I'm just going to stick a bit of masking tape, just stays up. Then we also, like, going back to this story, the favourite story, there's a bit in it where it talks about the sun coming up, and my son really loves that, sun coming up. The caterpillar went pop. So I cut out, if I can find it, a piece of yellow tissue paper just to finish off. So we've got a bit of yellow tissue paper, and that's our sun. I mean, you could find something from the natural world to use for it. And then let's just bring this screen up. You've got the start of your set there. So once it's all constructed, there's the here's one I made earlier moment. You've got your puppet theatre, and you've got your puppets in there, and you can do your story. And then one stage further is with slightly older children, they might want to design their own puppets, and then you can help them cut them out. So this is a little man that my, well, he was 5 when we did this, little Manny, and he made a story. That's from our first puppet show we did. So there's loads of different options. I think that's all I've got time to show you today. So
Carolyn, that's wonderful. Oh, it's so many ideas in such a short space of time. Amazing. It's just like, I think that's so lovely, because it's the artwork is about reconnecting with your kids, and it's not about what you're making, it's about how you're making and playing with them, which is just so lovely. Some lovely memory, creative things to make memories with them, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, I've got so many pictures of them making stuff, and it all ties in with the walks that we've had. Oh, I forgot to show this one actually. This is a bit more, this is kind of linking to the Winter Wonderland a bit, so using tissue.
Oh yeah, with the tissue paper in the window.
And that works quite well when you've got it in a puppet theatre, but that's very fiddly for preschool age kids to do, but it's something that parents can enjoy doing, perhaps alongside.
Or maybe even for an older sibling. So if you're there and they've come home from school and they've seen what you've been doing with your little preschooler, and there's a bit of what they want to join in, and there's something nice for them to do there. Oh, there's some great ideas. And you can really make these very personal as well, because like you said, you can get things from your garden, or on your walks that you do, and different storybooks, I suppose, as well. You've chosen the Hungry Caterpillar, but definitely stories.
Yeah, we've got loads. I mean, there's a classic one here, the going on a bear hunt. That's great for because it's got the progression and you're out looking for things, so you could go on a bear hunt with your little ones and then make a puppet show.
Oh, that's absolutely perfect. Thank you. Well, that's what Yeovil Mini Creatives is all about. It's about understanding that the playing and the enjoyment of actually making with your kids, and it's less about, some people get hung up on the art that they make, but it's not that, is it? Not at this age. It's just about having fun.
Well, yeah, it's all, and I think that's it. I'm just such a control freak with my own work and stuff. I've had to learn with little ones that it's more about them, the process of them making, and loving the materials and having your attention and doing things together than the final product.
Definitely. And like you suggested loads of places where parents can take photographs and keep these memories treasured, and that's what this lovely little booklet is about, with you 4 artists kindly contributing to it, is all about. Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. What a great first session. So just to the audience, just to say to you, so you're going to find Carolyn's work, and where you can actually see her own places that she exhibits her own work, and all your social media contacts are in the booklet as well. But her own parenting experience and all of this lovely activity she's shown you today, you can find in there. So the booklet's available again at the Huddle in Yeovil, and obviously it's going to be available on the Yeovil Art Space website, which is www.yeovilartspace.uk. Fantastic. I am inspired to go away, and my children are a little older. I can't wait for them to get home from school now, even though it's for the preschoolers. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.